You're muted, Charlie. Charlie, you're muted.
I'm sorry, that means my space bar doesn't work.
Oh.
I was holding down the space bar. I'm sorry, I'll start over. Just welcome, and just want to be sure everybody can hear and everybody can see the captions, and you can ask questions either on the spur of the moment or later on. You can use the chat. Just raise your hand. And also, I want you to be sure to fill out and submit the evaluation that was included at the end of the Zoom invitation, and that goes to Barb Rice, who is joining us down in the corner. So today we're going to take a look at something a little bit different, but I am going to turn it over to Lauren. And Lauren, you have been made a co-host, so you can share your screen. Why don't you introduce what you're going to be talking about?
Okay, will do. I think you're seeing the whole screen right now, right?
Yep.
Okay. So where I'll start, what we normally do, I think all you have seen this already, so I'll go through it quickly. But talking about the virtual demo center is the first thing that I want to go through. We'll do that fairly quickly. Mainly what we want to do is get to anybody's questions or comments that they have. And I'll already say that we're going to ask Carolyn to show an app that she mentioned before the meeting started. But the other thing is, we have been looking at all the new offerings of hearing aids, or products that call themselves hearing aids in some cases. And we just want to talk a little bit about all the confusion around that, and maybe find out from you if you have questions about it, and what kind of questions you have, and where should we be focusing our attention. So let me start first with just this quick tour again of the virtual demo. And how you get to it is you go to the hearinglossrochester.org website, which is our chapter website. And when you're there, you'll click on Virtual Demo Center. And once you're there, you have to scroll down a little bit. It starts off talking about the live demo center, but right below that is the virtual demo center. You can just click on that little icon, and that will take you to it. There's for beginners. Has anybody here not been on the website and would like a little orientation on it? If so, I can do that. Otherwise, I'm just going to jump over to the device page, or the main page, and show the categories that we have. Here you find demo center devices. Any image you click on will take you one level deeper and show you things that are behind that. So here are all the categories of the devices that we have in the live demo center, which, by the way, we're all hoping we can open up again soon. It's still closed due to the virus, but we hope to have it open with, who knows? I think we're tired of guessing about when it would be. But when it is open, it's open the third Thursday of every month, August through June. No, September through June. And at the Lifespan, I almost forgot which building it was in. It's at Lifespan on South Clinton Avenue. And we have all of these devices that are shown here. So I'll just scroll down a little bit. Personal listing accessories, different devices for hearing on, for using a caption phone, to see what people are saying when they're calling you or you're calling them. And then there are a set of hearing induction loop devices. They're called hearing loop or induction loops. And the kind of thing that you might even want to put in your home, or you may find at the customer service counter of some of the local retailers. And then the neck loop that we were talking about before the meeting began. And finally, some alerting devices if you have trouble waking up in the morning, an alarm clock that will shake your bed. If you have trouble hearing the doorbell or the phone ringing. And this one is sort of nice anywhere, but if you're traveling, nice thing about it, it's portable. So that is just a quick overview of what we have in the demo center. If you have any questions about that, we can stop there and talk about it, or we'll just go on. And I'll be done here pretty quick, and then we can hopefully get to some questions or comments. This is really slow today. It's always slower when I'm showing this through a Zoom session. Then there are other devices. There's a website you can visit when you click on this, that it's Diglo who sells devices, and they will also help you find the kind of device that you need for your hearing problem. Of course, they don't sell an infinite number of devices, but they have a pretty good selection. The place where we always suggest people to start if they're looking for an assistive listening device, if they wear hearing aids for a CI, is with the manufacturer's products, because they know more about their hearing aids than anybody else does. So this page will take you to a list of manufacturers and their accessories. And then smartphone and tablet apps, which are really getting to be interesting. Every time, it seems like every day there's something new, and it's better than the day before. Over-the-counter hearing aids, which is part of a discussion I'd like to have in a little while. And a learning center. This one, if you haven't seen it, I think is worth taking a look at, because there are some nice animations in there to show how hearing loops work, what a telecoil is, how your ear picks up noise or sounds, and how you hear. Great animation on that. Hearing friendly venues. This is around Rochester, but if you take a look at what's behind this page, you might get some ideas of what you should look for in your own area. And then finally, a couple purchasing resources. There are literally scores of purchasing resources. So we've listed a couple that we have used here. So that's it for the demo center. Any questions so far on any of this, or any comments you'd like to make? I think actually, go ahead.
Sue has a neck device that she talked about at the last chapter meeting.
Yes.
It sounds like something I might be useful for me. And I don't know where I could get it or what it is actually.
Okay. Let me suggest this. If you go to the virtual demo center, were you here when we started? So you see how to get there?
Okay.
You can see my screen, right?
Right. I got you.
Okay. So I'm going to scroll down on the virtual demo center page and find neck loops. This one, yeah, go ahead.
I don't know which one Sue has, but I think it's a wireless.
This is the one she has right
She's
here.
holding it up right now.
Okay. Yeah, it's this one is no longer being made, unfortunately. You might be able to find it. Actually, I tell you what, let's go through a live demonstration of how you would search for something on the demo center. Yeah, this is the product that Sue has right here. So if I click on that, it says we have it in the demo center for test and evaluation, that it's no longer found on the manufacturer's website.
Yeah.
So what you can do is click option 1 to leave this website and see any other retail sources that might still be selling the product. They might still have inventory. So I'm going to do,
It's a good possibility.
and you see it's the product is actually Clear Sounds, CSCLA 7V2 amplified power neck loop. And it looks like Teletext. I don't know if they're a seller. Let's see what they say about it. Do they sell it? Okay, it looks like it says it's discontinued, but they're still showing it. So it might be worth checking out if you could actually buy it.
Can I share where I buy it?
Please,
Now?
yes.
I've had good success in going to eBay and searching on CLA 7V2. And the interesting thing on eBay is you can actually enter that search term, and when eBay finds it, it will send you an email. And I've been able to I've purchased several because I know that the manufacturer, is not making them anymore. And I've purchased them for about $30 on eBay, between $30 and $40. And I think in the last month or 2 months, maybe you just have to be careful about the description, because the original comes with 5 little cords. And so you kind of have to know what you're getting when you search on eBay. That's the main thing. But I love that neck loop, and I'm using it right now, and I'm comparing this neck loop to several other neck loops, and I always come back to it. Now there it is for $35. Do you see it?
Yeah.
For shipping here is additional $5. So, the $40 range, that's where I've been successful in finding it. But I thought you had mentioned one of the times that you found a manufacturer who was actually manufacturing it now. You haven't, right?
I didn't mention that, no. I think what I may have mentioned is that I think there is a different manufacturer who has their own product, their own amplified neck loop.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see what you mean. I just love this one.
In fact, what we can do, I'm going to leave the eBay site now and go back here, and I'm going to click on option 2 to see if there are similar products offered by anybody else.
Lauren?
Yeah.
Lauren,
Yes.
may I ask? Lauren?
Go ahead, Sue.
Carolyn, how is yours the same as this one, or is it different? The one that you
on
love,
the back,
what is it?
Okay, on the back of that one, does it say Clear Sounds CLA 7V2?
Yep, that's the one I have. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
and I love it as much as you do.
Yes, and I've been using different ones to compare it. Like, for instance, I used this one, which is on the back, NKL001, which is not amplified, okay? And I know that they have it in your demo center because I saw it there. All right. Now, if somebody's not used to a neck loop, this is a simpler neck loop. It doesn't have volume control, and sometimes people get confused because obviously whatever you're listening to does have volume control, like a computer or an iPhone. They all have their own volume controls, and this one has additional volume control. So this one is simpler. also this one takes batteries and this one doesn't take anything. So that makes this one simpler. But I love this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the simpler one is a passive neck loop. There's no amplification. But on some smartphones, you'll find that it doesn't work very well because those phones might not have enough power to generate a strong signal through the neck loop. In that case, you can buy an external amplifier, just a little one, and that will serve the same purpose. But sometimes the passive neck loop won't work very well by itself. Yeah, I've heard nothing bad about that CLA V7. I don't know why they stopped making it. Or CLA 7, I'm sorry, I misspoke. So,
Yes, and one thing I discovered about the CLA 7 is that if you hear any static at all in the background, even when this is green, you need to change the batteries.
Yeah.
That's about where, I mean, people may not know that because usually you wait for the screen to be orange or red. But sometimes if you hear any static at all, change the batteries and that fixes it for me. I love it because it doesn't generate static. Now, I do have a question about the Pocket Talker. The ones I've been using, which are at Kaiser, have been generating intermittent static in the background. So I'm curious what your experience with the Pocket Talker is.
well,
Using it with telecoil.
the first question I would have is, if you're using the microphone and you're trying to hear somebody talking, do you maybe have the telecoil switch turned on? So
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I have two settings for telecoil. One is pure telecoil, you know, just pure sound from the device. The other setting is telecoil plus background noise. So you need those two settings for different situations.
Mhm.
And no, I have it turned on, but I haven't had a whole lot of luck when I use, but I haven't bought one myself. So
If you're, you know,
I'm planning on doing that.
what we've found, for instance, with some loop systems, you know, in different facilities, is that they could be noisy because there's a lot of electromagnetic interference in there.
That's right. That's
And
right.
I don't know if that's a situation you might have had when you noticed the static or the background noise.
Yeah,
Right.
I've used the Williams with no problems other than when I'm near an electronic light dimmer, then it buzzes like the dickens.
Yeah.
Right. I understand absolutely what you're saying. I have yet to test out the Kaiser one. I'm trying to figure out where it gives me static and where it doesn't, but it doesn't seem it. I can be sitting in the same place and the static, very low grade static might be there. And then intermittent, it's not there. So I don't think it's the electric wiring. But anyway, I just have to figure it out. I'm going to buy one to see better about Pocket Talkers.
This is another one that looks interesting to me. And Charlie, I still wonder if we should be buying this for the demo center as well. This is a person I talked to a while back. I think it was at Diglo.
Yeah.
I think this is one they were talking about if it's amplified. She said it's the only one. Her hearing is very bad. And she said it's the only one that she's ever used that was loud enough for her. Now, is this, no, I don't know if this one is amplified, but that's the name of the company that I'm sure of. So
can you type that in chat? Would that be possible? Because I'm not familiar with it.
Yep, I can do that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there somebody at the Lifespan at the demo center that mans that, so it can explain the different devices and so on?
Yeah, there's a group of people that usually turn up, and everybody's able to describe what's there. And there's explanatory sheets that go with the items as well.
It's actually many of the people that you're looking at right now.
Let me be clear, John. Let me be clear, John, that the in-person demo center isn't happening right now. We are hoping to get that back together again. And once we can get back at Lifespan, it'll be on the website announcing it. And we would do that instead of this Zoom meeting. It is going to be the third Thursday of every month. We're going to try to stick with that. So, you had a question, John?
No, thank you. That should cover it.
You don't have the Roger pen in the demo center, right?
We do have.
Do you?
You want to explain that? We kind of have it.
Well, Nancy and Doug Meyer have custody of it.
They're the custodians of our Roger pen, and we can make arrangements to have it there, but they're the ones that are holding on to it.
Well,
I'm usually there, and I have the successor, the Roger Select, and the partner mic. There's another new one out as well called the Roger On.
the Roger, what?
O-N.
O-N.
Yeah.
Oh. I have a little story about the Roger pen. You know how restaurants are such a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, and they've always been a problem for me. The only situation that I've ever had in my life was when 4 of us were sitting at a table of 4 in a restaurant, and we each had a Roger pen, and we networked them amongst the 4 of us, and we put them around our neck, and it was wonderful. Okay, that was the only situation where I've been able to go to a noisy restaurant, and it was wonderful. Now, the thing with the clip-on mics that, you know, these manufacturers sell, they don't network, I don't think, but that's a question, because every time I ask them at a demo, can you network this clip-on mic with, you know, 4 of them? They can, it's all one-on-one, you know, one-to-one. So the Roger pen is the only thing I know that can network. And I'm not sure, do you know of any other devices, microphones that can network? No. Because in a restaurant, that was perfect.
Yeah, no, I don't. Not at all.
The thing I use in the restaurant is the Roger Select. It's got 6 different microphones. You sit it in the middle of the table. It knocks off the hearing aid microphones themselves so that you don't hear the background noise through them. And you can select which of the 6. The only trouble with this, it's wonderful, but it's small and tiny, and you tend to forget it. For what it costs. You don't want that to happen. So what I do is I clip it to my car keys, because I figure I can't go far without my car. And that seems to work pretty good.
That's excellent. Thank you for that tip, because the Roger pen's the same situation. Yeah. It's expensive. Yeah. But I put, you know, the Roger pen has different modes, and one is where you can lay it on the table.
Yeah.
And like what you're describing. But I tell you, it still didn't work anything like when we networked the 4 Roger pens and had them around our neck. Yes. I mean, there was no comparison to me. Huge difference, but
The situation where you get 4 or 5 folks with Roger pens is pretty rare.
Yes, and I tell you, that was only because the HLAA chapter in Mid-Peninsula in California, they were all members of the chapter, and we all had Roger pens. It is pretty rare because they're like $1,000 devices.
Yep.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, I would get cheaper hearing aids and put the $1,000, honestly, in if it came to that, into this kind of, assisted listening technology.
Carolyn?
Personally.
I can understand that. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Charlie.
I just wanted to ask Carolyn, you mentioned the Peninsula chapter. Is that Regine Castle's
Yeah.
chapter?
Yeah,
We
that
all
was
know-
my very first HLAA experience.
Yeah, a lot of us know Regine very well.
Yes, she's a very good friend. And she's doing very well, by the way, health-wise. So.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So I was looking here. I didn't find the Roger pen on Phonex website. I find microphone.
And just one, I'm sorry for interrupting. Dr. Olson, has all those videos on the website.
Yes, right.
He'll talk about the Roger pen. He's got a video on that, of course.
That actually is a great website in case anybody hasn't heard of it. It's just look up Dr. Cliff Olson, and he must have over 100, right, Carolyn? Different type of videos all about hearing and products that you can buy.
Yeah.
And
I'll put a link in the website. How's that?
That would be.
I'm sorry, on the chat.
He is an audiologist in Arizona.
Yeah.
And
YouTube.
Yep. Okay, so do we have anything else on any of the devices at all? Or one thing.
Yes, I had one more question, but you go ahead and have other people share, and I'll.
No, you go ahead, because that's why we're here, to listen to you all.
I just bought these, and from one of your meetings.
Yeah.
And I need to, I guess, get together with somebody in terms of how to use them. But I think I recall the last meeting I was at, you had another device that went along with these. So there were 3 things that you were using together, maybe? Is that correct? I don't know.
Are those the SKK wireless units?
Yes.
Yeah, I was showing those. The third item that I had was just a passive neck loop that I plug into it. But there's a transmitter with the microphone built in and the receiver, and then I plug the neck loop into the receiver.
Into the receiver.
Yeah.
It has a neck loop. Okay, picture. I mean, a earphone picture. So that's where I plug it in.
Yeah, they put it into the earphone jack and it should work. Yeah. I use the neck loop because if I try to use earbuds, I've got hearing aids in there already. So it's a problem. So I use the neck loop and just set my phone menu to T-coil, and away we go.
Okay, let me see if I've got this then. Of course, I know where to plug in my neck loop.
Yeah.
Right here. And then this is, I'm not sure of these 2 items where to put them. Like, for instance, if I'm listening to this Zoom meeting and this computer and I've got a neck loop on, which is the way I have now, these wouldn't help, right? Can you just explain what they are a little better?
It's a transmitter and receiver. It's like a wireless microphone. It's a kind of thing where you can set the transmitter with the microphone in the middle of a restaurant table, and then have the receiver on your belt or in your pocket or whatever, and it amplifies whatever it hears in the microphone. I also find it useful to carry around the transmitter, and if I want to hear, for instance, a checkout person, I'll hold it in their direction, and it helps amplify that, which is really handy if they're wearing a mask. Hopefully that's going away, but right now it's an issue.
Yeah. So basically the black, which for me is the transmitter, goes on the table, and the red, which is the receiver, goes in my pocket or somewhere on me.
Or whatever the length of the wire on your neck loop is.
Yeah, right. Got it. And then this will receive, it's kind of like the Roger pen, only it only costs $35. So
that's right.
Yeah, that's a big difference. And I'm trying to show this kind of stuff to my group here. So I really appreciate your demo center.
Yeah. Everybody that comes in kicks me in the backside and says, hey, this fancy stuff is great, but get the cost down.
So
Lauren,
yeah.
Lauren, I think this one is 35. And if I remember, if Carolyn is talking about it with her group, the main difference between that and the Williams sound is that the distance that you can use it.
Right.
Lauren, is that the main difference?
Well, the price is the main difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought one, if you're in a large room, in an auditorium or whatever, you could put the transmitter in the pocket or wherever of the speaker. And no matter where you were sitting, if you were sitting far away, because like the Williams sound is what, like $400 or $500?
It's more than that.
There is.
Is it, Charlie? Okay.
Yeah, the big difference, so you're talking about transmission range. The Williams sound is rated for 350 feet, whereas the S&K that we're looking at now is rated for 35 feet.
Right.
Okay, and I just thought that might be interesting for Carolyn to be aware of.
Yes.
If she's sharing information and someone says, oh my goodness, why is the Williams sound? Well, isn't that the main difference? The distance?
I think it's the quality of the product too. I mean, Williams Sounds makes a very high level, high quality product. A lot of the less expensive products probably can't stand up to it, but they do well. I mean, that's why Eric uses one, and that's why Carolyn uses one.
The Williams Sound PPA system that we have, and I've already had it happen many times, you can literally drop it on the floor and it won't hurt it. I don't know if I'd want to try that with the one that Carolyn has.
Now, well, you're talking about a Williams sound system, but I don't understand what it is you're talking about. The Williams sound. It's not the.
Lauren, you just had a picture of it there. Yeah, this is it right here. The PFF. Yeah.
It's basically the same thing that you have, except it's a higher end version of it.
I see.
This is
and it's not Bluetooth.
It's RF radio frequency.
Oh yeah, and this is too, right?
Yep. Right.
UHF, yeah, ultra high frequency. Yeah.
Okay.
But Carolyn, I many years ago, before the one that Eric has came out, I did buy the Williams sound, and my husband and I could be on a tour, and I could stay back, 100 feet from the speaker. Yeah. I could be the last one walking along on a tour, and I could still hear every word that the speaker was saying. And Charlie, how many feet? 35 feet for
It's 35 feet for the one that Carolyn and Eric have. It's approximately 350 feet. And I got to tell you, we've evaluated that at Lifespan. We were in the conference room where we hold the demo center, and I was able to have somebody go out into the parking lot outside, and they could hear us just as clear as if we were right in the room.
Uh-huh.
Now Bluetooth is about 30 feet, isn't it?
That's correct.
10 meters, yeah.
Well, I can't
And
seem to
what?
get that product, Eric. Eric, what was the name of that product again? The manufacturer's name?
The manufacturer's name is SKK.
SKK. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, then I think
Once we get back in person in the demo center, we're going to have one that Eric is going to give to us to use. We'll have one there.
I was going to put that on the virtual demo center. I'll do that. Eric, you sent me the information on a while back, and I just haven't gotten onto it yet.
I have it again, yeah. One of the applications for Carolyn's purposes, one of the applications is for houses of worship that don't have a system. You can put one of these on the pastor's podium, and as long as the hearing loss person sits in one of the front pews, they can hear.
So as long as it's 35, within 35 feet, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
10 meters, 33 feet, yeah.
So I have a question, Eric, about what you just said. I understand what you said. What I'm curious about is if I use this, say in a house of worship, and there is a place for a headphone here, can I take that house of worship headphone and put it in here and use their headphone with this system?
You should be able to. Most headphones will work on that.
Okay, so, but again, I have to be only 35 feet away from the podium.
Stay within 10 meters, 33 feet. It will often go further than that as long as there's no obstructions. So if you're trying to go through a partition, that impacts it. But as long as it's wide open space, it works quite well.
Yeah. But what about the Roger pen? What is the length of that? Because I think I could sit in the back of the church and use the Roger pen, put it up at the podium. Do you know?
Well,
I think it's about 30 feet.
Yeah, 33 feet again. And you have to be careful about sitting in the back, because when you sit in the back, like the Roger pen has a microphone built into it. So any background noise between you and the front is going to pick up on that microphone. So if there's electric fans or anything like that, you might hear them.
Well, when we tried the Roger pen at the demo center, we were able to set it on the table in front of the talker.
Yeah.
And we're comparing apples and oranges, because the system that Carolyn has is radio frequency.
Mm-hmm.
The Roger pen is Bluetooth.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference in how many devices you can connect at the same time.
Yes.
And I think the Roger pen worked very well when we had it laying on the table. What happens with the Roger pen, and one of the reasons it's so expensive, is that it is a different type of microphone built into one. As soon as you hold it up right to here, it becomes a directional mic facing this way. As soon as you lay it down on a table, it spreads out its pickup pattern and can pick up more sound as long as the talker is no more than 5 to 8 feet away. So that's what makes it work so well, is the fact it can change its pickup pattern depending on the orientation of the pen.
Well, and the Roger pen is the microphone. So that has to be near the speaker. And the person who's picking it up has to have this thing with it, or the compilot that comes with Phonak. But this is a MyLink, which also connects with it.
Yeah.
But this is what you wear, And this is what the person has to have around their neck or in a close proximity.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't need the neck loop if you have a phonak hearing aid.
Right. You
Yeah,
need
you you just use the Roger pin and the hearing aid, you know.
No, you have to, even with the phonak, you have to have the compilot that goes with it.
It
And
depends.
that's the receiver. It goes around your neck.
I know. I didn't realize that because I had heard, and so that may be incorrect, that I have the idea that the phonak, okay, I'll check that out. Yeah.
I think
It
Carolyn,
depends on the hearing aid model. Some of the older models require a compilot. Some of the newer models go direct to the hearing aid.
Okay, that's
But
the difference.
The newer models will not use the Roger pin. The newer models do not use the Roger pin. They have to get that small one, the Roger on, or whatever you call it.
Right.
the Roger ON. Yeah, we showed a picture of it. Yeah.
But you do need the compilot if you use the Roger pin with any newer hearing aids.
Yeah.
And they have to be phonak. That's it.
Yeah. I actually have the Roger mic.
Yeah.
You know, it's a neck loop.
For everybody, and it's not just phonak, but I do know for a fact with phonak, the chip shortage is impacting the delivery of phonak devices. And I know it's impacting the delivery of other devices as well.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I can use my Roger pen with my Oticon hearing aids now, but I had to buy the MyLink to go with it.
Yes.
Yes, I have Costco hearing aids, so obviously I also need the MyLink as well. But so I don't really, okay.
Yeah, the Costco hearing aids, Kirkland doesn't make hearing aids. They're all made by Oticon or Widex or Phonak or one of the majors.
Yeah, every year they subcontract that out.
Right.
It can be a different brand like Rexton. I think my version 7 is a Rexton brand.
They're
Kirkland.
pretty good.
Yeah, Consumer Reports rated them pretty well.
Yeah.
Actually, they were on top. And now version 10 for Costco has rechargeable, Bluetooth, and telecoil, all built in. I mean, all available. So I'm looking at version 10.
Yeah, it's that version is manufactured by Phonak, and it's not identical to the Paradise, but it's pretty close.
How much are they charging for those?
$1,400 for a pair.
Yeah.
They went down $100 from last year, or the last version.
Yeah, there are a couple significant differences between the Paradise version of Phonak, and like Eric said, and the Costco version. I was looking at them too. I forget what the differences are, but so any other comments?
She's on the phone.
So tell you what, maybe if there are none, maybe we'll just switch gears here for a few minutes, or and talk about this other thing we had on the agenda, which is about the sort of the change in the hearing aid market that we've seen over the past couple of years. And as I think most of you are aware, I think everybody here wears hearing aids, so you're probably not as interested in it as somebody who is hard of hearing but doesn't wear hearing aids would be. But anyway, I think we all know now that there are a lot of different, or a number of different options for buying hearing aids. Used to be that you just had to go to an audiologist and you bought from the audiologist, but that's no longer quite the case. You still need to go to an audiologist if you want to buy the name brand hearing aids, like Phonak and Oticon, Widex, Starkey, Resound, all of those. But right now, I think anybody who's opened the magazine and looked at the back pages sees ads for hearing aids for, I don't know, $495. And some of these products that you can buy might serve you well if you have a mild hearing loss.
Right.
And others may just be completely junk. And that's another reason to go watch the Dr. Cliff Olson videos, because he does really an exhaustive review of many of those products. But anyway, so some of the options now are you can buy, like I said, traditional hearing aids from the audiologist, or you can go online and order prescription hearing aids as well from some manufacturers. You will be able to buy over-the-counter hearing aids, which are not prescription hearing aids, but that definition is not complete yet. The FDA is still working, reviewing user comments on the proposal that they made. The FDA, which has also another category, they're called self-fit hearing aids.
Yes.
And there are two manufacturers I know of that have that clearance from the FDA. One is Jabra, if you've ever heard of them. They make earbuds, and they've got into the hearing aid market. In fact, they now also sell prescription hearing aids, the type that you would buy from an audiologist. I think Jabra sells theirs through Costco. I'm pretty sure that's how, I'm sure that's the way it works. But Jabra also makes a self-fit hearing aid, which is not a prescription hearing aid, and which means you can buy it yourself directly. So, and then there are also other devices that claim to be hearing aids, but those are the ones you really got to be careful about.
Yeah.
Because many manufacturers are just very loose with what they call a hearing aid. Some of them are no more than personal sound amplifiers. So again, it's worth it. When you see that advertisement in the magazine, go and check it out. Start with Dr. Cliff Olson's website and see what you can find out about it. So the lines are blurring between what we call assistive listening devices. They traditionally have been pretty much hearing amplifiers, or in some cases, hearing amplifiers with the tone control, which helps you get a little more high frequency boost. So if your hearing loss is of a high frequency nature, which most of them are, then that might be worth taking a look at as well. So anyway, how do you get through the maze of how to buy a product? I think that our recommendation will be going forward. I can't imagine it would change, but would be, number one, see an audiologist. Find out what your hearing loss is like. And the other reason to see an audiologist is that you get a much better hearing test than you would get online. You can get hearing tests online. And they also do a complete examination of your ear. They might discover, some people have a tumor in their ear, things like this. And it's not the kind of thing you're going to find out until maybe too late if you just go it alone. And the way things are now, the audiologist is required to give you the audiogram that's been generated by your hearing test. Yeah, I think you have to request it, or you should request it anyway. And once you have that, you can go and buy your hearing device anywhere you want to. So I think that's a good way to proceed. In fact, maybe the audiologist will say, well, you know what, you can get by without hearing aids, or check out assistive listening devices. You don't really, your hearing isn't that bad. That might be the case. Anyway, the point is, there are a lot of options coming along, and we as a chapter are trying to address questions that we know will be coming along from people. But in fact, we've had some of them already over the past couple of years. People coming in and say, what's the best hearing aid? You know, what can I buy? Or what about this little device I bought from this magazine? You know, and it turns out to be one of these little deer whistle devices or whatever they are. So to avoid that situation, why we want to try to help people steer through that maze of all the confusing options that you'll be seeing. And by the way, if you do have questions, and you know anybody who has questions, please just send them to our website, to the Virtual Demo Center or our main website, and leave a question. And somebody will try to get back to them and see if we can help out. But we're really very much in the learning mode right now ourselves. And there are so many products flooding the market that it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, the key with the over-the-counter for me is that they are only, and when the standard comes out, it's going to be the same. They are only for people with mild to moderate loss. And we're lousy judges of our own loss because of our coping mechanisms. So as Lauren said, get tested professionally.
One of the things we have in our chapter is called an Express Hearing Check Kiosk, which we've carried around with us to various places. We were at a local library back in November. And what this device is has a big set of headphones you put on, and there's a touch screen. It'll give you a hearing test, not a test. I have to be careful about saying a test. That typically implies that it's the same as an audiologist test. It looks like an audiologist test, but number one, you're not in a real quiet room generally, and number two, it doesn't give you the full range of tests that an audiologist would. But it's pretty good at letting people know whether they have a hearing loss. The thing that Art always says when he talks about it is that after you're through getting your test, which, by the way, you administer yourself, after the test is complete, which takes like 5 minutes, it'll play back audio. And that audio will, first of all, be the way you normally hear now. And then it will switch to the way you would hear based on your test results. And some people have been completely amazed at the difference. And they say, yep, now it's time to see the audiologist. Yep. But before that, they were somewhat deniers. They didn't think they had a problem.
Lauren?
Yes. Huh?
How easy is it to show a picture of that? I think it'd be interesting to show. We have some people that have not joined us in the past, get some idea of what we're talking about. And once we are back open live at Lifespan, we will have this device there to administer evaluations.
Yes.
Yeah, here you see a bunch of pictures. Let me go to the website. The company that makes this is called wearandhear.com. And somewhere there's a picture. There it is.
Yeah. Really
tiny. You know, it's just a little thing. It's like 13 inches wide or so. Well, you can tell by the comparing it to the size of the earphones. And it's really great. It leads you through the test. You just press a button and it starts giving you a test. It tells you what to do. And it's painless. What we think is that this is going to attract a lot of people who normally would not go to an audiologist because they're still living with the old, mostly incorrect view that you're going to have your arm twisted by a set of expensive hearing aids. And that's really not the case if you go to a reputable place.
Right. The other thing I'd like to mention is, and I've discussed it at length with my audiologist, is that there's a difference between a hearing problem that is originated in your ears and one that's connected with the processing of the sounds you hear. And it's particularly prevalent amongst those of us that are more vintage than others. But it's important to know the difference, whether it's your ears or your processing that's causing your difficulty. And if it's processing, no amount of amplification is going to help.
Well, you know, in fact, that's just something we should probably talk about more. I'm sure everybody here knows it, but we always think there are three parts to the ear. There's the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear, and you can have a problem in any one of those. But we forget to mention that, oh, by the way, the fourth part of hearing is your brain, like Eric just mentioned. It's just noise until you know how to interpret it. That's, by the way, another thing. If you go to the Learning Center on the Virtual Demo Center and click on the video that is the path of sound or something like this. It's just a great little video created by the National Institutes of Health. So Charlie, I see we're coming up on just a few minutes left.
Yes. Do we have any other general questions or something specific? We got about 2 minutes left, and I'll stop the recording right at 1 o'clock, but I'll let the meeting linger for a little while.
And what we were just talking about, I just want to share that I have a dentist who's a young woman, and I think she's very pretty, but I don't know because I've never seen her without a mask on. She talks fast. I was over there the other day, and of course she's standing a little behind me, and she's talking to me about something, and she's talking fast, and I can hear it fine, but I can't process it fast enough anymore, particularly through a mask. And I keep asking her to slow down, but you know, she slows down and then she speeds up again. It's a big problem. But on this thing that Lauren was talking about with these different stratas in the product lines that are coming out and the pricing, I think we're in for a few years of the Wild West of trying to sort stuff out between that which is reliable and works well and that which isn't so good. And I think a lot of it is going to be trial and error. The other thing is that, you know, in Rochester, with our redlining from the 1930s on, we managed to create some highly segregated neighborhoods in what we call the inner city. And I don't think most of those people have ever really considered much about doing anything about their hearing loss because they couldn't afford it. But now that things are getting cheaper, I think we can begin to help them out a bit. But here's the problem, and it was outlined in a letter that Eric Madsen sent over this morning that had a healthcare equality network letter on it, and they deal with people in disadvantaged economic stratas. And the accessibility of professional help in these neighborhoods in the inner city is going to be very, very little, I'm sure. And they're not going to easily be able to get to that type of thing. I mean, we have dead spaces in the inner city just to buy food. There's no supermarkets, you know? So we're going to have some challenges as we try to deal with some of these things, but it's going to be an interesting time, I think, for HLAA, because we're going into some waters we've never been in before. So anyhow, just so you know what Lauren and I are thinking about, and of course, with Joe Kosalski, we're talking about a new course. You know, if you're thinking of buying over the counter, here are some things to consider. And that will be probably not so much on the technology itself as the business relationship that you're getting into. One thing that worries me is the ability to return hearing aids that don't work out for a customer. They may work fine, but they don't work out for that particular customer, that they can get a cash refund, not a credit or something else where their money's tied up, because they'll have to go down a different route. So those are some of the challenges that we're facing in the near future.
Okay, folks, it's 1 o'clock. I'm going to stop the recording, but I'll leave the meeting going. We can chit chat for a while.
I'm going to have to leave.